Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Health Tip. This week, we're going to be interviewing a new collaborator I want to be connecting you with. She's an important person. So as many of you know, I'm part of a business networking group. And every week I meet with some professionals, and I've told you about them before. You know, if you guys need a bookie, an accountant, or if you need an insurance person, or if you need like an electrician or an organizer or those kind of things, let me know, because I have those connections, and painters, a lot of different great professionals. So I came across Mary. She visited our group, and the time wasn't right for her. So she's in another group that does the same thing, but we can collaborate. And I've had a couple of interviews with her, and I basically want to connect her to my patient base. Because many of you know that I'm interested in nutrition, and I've had many videos about, nutrition and food and all those kind of things. But obviously my focus is doing the chiropractic care, and some of you would like to go more in depth, and I'd like more of you to go more in depth too. So I'm going to trust your health with Mary with the nutritional aspects. I'm going to introduce you to Mary. I'm going to ask her a couple of questions. So Mary, just quickly, let them know your name and where you are and that kind of thing, and then I'll ask you a few questions to get them to know you a bit. Okay?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Dr. Marco, for introducing me to your patients. I'm actually looking forward to working with them. My name is Mary Wu. I'm actually a registered nutritional health specialist and a weight management coach. So I specialize in helping people reverse their health conditions. And, if they're looking to lose weight, we teach them how to do it in a healthy way so that they can sustain it.
That's great. So we've had a lot of discussions, because I always say that nutrition is a very sort of challenging topic, and there's lots of different points of view, and we've had some discussions, and I kind of think we kind of sync on a lot of those things. So just tell us briefly, what's your approach to nutrition, would you say?
Absolutely. So I think I wanted to give a little back end story with regards to how I got into nutrition. And so what really happened is I come from parents, and my husband comes from parents who actually had chronic health issues, and they were not very old. Like my mom was in her early, late 50s. My in-laws were in the 60s, and they had high blood pressure, cholesterol, cancer. And I saw them go through the journey of getting really sick. Like my mom had cancer, and after 6 months passed away. My mother-in-law had ovarian cancer, and she really struggled through that experience and eventually passed away. And my father-in-law had high blood pressure and cholesterol, was on medication, and eventually had a very severe stroke, and then was confined to a wheelchair because he was paralyzed. So going through that journey really started to get me to think, is there a way that we can prevent this? Because more and more we were starting to hear people in our inner circle who were having these kind of chronic illnesses. And then I personally had very severe digestive issues. My husband had cholesterol, and then my son was diagnosed with autism. So we were all going through our health journey. And that's when I realized I was taking medicine, but I was not getting any better, and I was getting frustrated. And I started looking at natural remedies on how to do that. So I personally was introduced to a nutritionist. And what I really loved about the experience with the nutritionist was, the first and foremost is education. I really understood the reason why I was experiencing those health issues, and what could I do by just changing my diet that can really help to start heal my body, which I'd never heard before. So I found it very amazing. And as I started working with the nutritionist, long story short, like in 6 months, I got off medication. And at that point in time, it really emphasized the fact that, there is some validity to what this is happening. So I'm just a curious person. I said, I need to go and find out more. So I went and studied nutrition. And then the more I started to realize, oh my God, there are so many ways we can prevent illnesses. We can actually reverse health issues. It's a matter of educating people so that people understand that we are actually eating ourselves to illness. So that's how I started. In the beginning, it was only about helping my family. But then when our family started getting better, and people around us started to see the transformation that we were going through, they started approaching me. And when I started working with them, I realized this is my calling. This is what makes me happy. The ability to help people. I wasn't able to do it for my mom and for my in-laws, but now I have the ability to do that with other people. And that's when I decided to become a nutritionist and practice as a nutritionist, because I have the ability to now impact more people and not just my immediate family.
Right. And the way we were talking too, like I like the concept of our approach is kind of like just like with chiropractic, we kind of go to root cause as opposed to just trying to palliate something, right? So when you mention how you kind of approach things, it's like you don't want to say, well, here's the problem, take this, just this vitamin will help that thing. You're trying to like, okay, what's the global change that sort of like describe it? You said there's like a one major change that people could do will have the biggest impact, sort of thing. So
Absolutely. So I completely agree with what Dr. Marco is saying is if we just look at just a particular symptom that a patient is saying, but not really looking at the overall health, then we are most probably not dealing with the root cause. So with nutrition, how it works is the first step in the process is really looking at what is the person's overall health, what is the foundation that is not working, and let's start with the foundation. And in nutrition, it's normally digestion. So like I talk to patients and I will say like, and on an average, if I talk to 10 patients, minimum 8 patients have digestive issue in some form or the other, correct? And a lot of the times patients just think that's part of aging or that's just part of, life. But they afterwards talking to me, they realize is, oh, you know what, you can actually reverse these, like, bloating, constipation. And if we are not digesting whatever we are eating, what is happening? Our body is starting to lose the nutrients in our body. And that's when we start to have various health issues. So it's really understanding how we build the foundation and how then from there start to heal ourselves so that eventually we are at a point where we have optimal health and we are not on medication.
That's right. Because, like I said, you participated in my gut brain webinar, and I know how important it is. And we kind of always say like the intestine is your second brain, so to speak. There's a massive communication between your brain and your intestine and back and forth. So it's really important that you take care of that too. So, I work on the neurological aspect and make sure all the neurology is working good, but you still have to heal it from the inside too. And that's why there's that phrase that people are digging their graves with their fork, sort of saying, right? What they're eating is,
Absolutely.
So what's sort of I like working with autistic kids and people with neurological problems, and I know you've kind of focused on a couple of specific categories that you'd like to work with. So just let my clients know what's your sort of favorite. I know you work with everybody probably, but you have a sort of focus on a few, right?
Yes. So, we work with the metabolic issues like, high blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, like, obesity, and weight management. I have a lot of clients that I work with that because even with weight management, we are always looking at what are the contributing factors that are resulting in somebody putting on weight. And we've had great success because of the program that we have. And I personally, just from my own personal perspective, I love to work with children with special needs because of my son. And it's all about, I think, providing hope. Because when my son was diagnosed, I didn't know where to start. And I'm so grateful that nutrition came into my life. And that sort of really helped my son because when he was diagnosed, he was really struggling with a lot of issues like digestive issues. He had meltdowns. He was a picky eater. He was struggling with even at school. And today, he is doing so well. He does all the chores in the house. He's an honor roll student, no anxiety, and super healthy. So I want to use my story to help more families because there is hope. It's just we have to take the right steps to implement so that we can start seeing the change. And the younger they are, the better, because as the child grows through the years, the brain, like I was just talking to somebody yesterday, how we were talking about how the brain is so amazing. it can really change based on what you sort of feed, provide nutrition to the child, correct? And so this way, and especially with autism, it's all about neurological, correct? So like how Dr. Marco sort of helps them from a chiropractic treatment. And if you start including in nutrition into the mix, now you have the fantastic results that you can get. I wish I had known Dr. Marco earlier on for my son, correct? But I always say there's always hope. And that's what I'm looking to sort of provide is hope to people.
Perfect. Okay, so I know you're basically virtual, right? So you can have a patient anywhere in the world, and they can kind of connect with you and stuff.
Absolutely.
So let's just let my patient base know how do they connect with you? What will the first visit be? What kind of process will go from there?
Yes. So what I normally do is if people don't know me and they don't know whether they want to work with me, they can book a 20-minute discovery call. It's complimentary. So this way you get to sort of ask me any questions, feel like, can you trust me? Am I the person who can really help you?
Right.
I think that's the first step.
That's
And then
very good.
afterwards, if you feel like, yes, you would like to move ahead with me, then what I normally do is I will send you a patient questionnaire and a consent form. And it's a pretty detailed patient questionnaire, because I like to sort of get your overall health. And when you send it prior to the appointment, it gives me enough time to sort of review your information, so that when I go into the meeting, I'm ready to sort of, help you. So normally my first appointments are around 1 hour, because it's a really deep dive into everything that we're going to be looking at. So we look at your health conditions, we look at your lifestyle, we look at your intake of like water, your intake of like, what are you eating, what is your lifestyle? Because nutrition is not just about food. There are so many aspects that actually result in a person getting sick, correct? And it's stress, it's diet, it's lifestyle. So we're looking at all those things and working with the patient based on whatever their goals are to help them through the process. And then once they start working with me, what happens is we book in the beginning monthly calls, because we need monthly check-ins to make sure that people are on track and they're really learning the skills. Because the goal is whatever I'm going to teach you or work with you on, it's going to be a lifelong skill. That's something that you can take with you. And once you are confident, you don't even need to see me, because you are going to start to implement that in your life. And the other goal is, normally it happens, the mom will come or a dad will come to me, and then whatever I teach them, I tell them, make sure you teach this to your family, because we want to have healthy families, not just one healthy person in the family.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's my goal. Like, that's my mission, is like, one person at a time. We'll start to educate you so that you're able to start implementing whatever you have learned in your life. And we're going to break the cycle of, always thinking, oh, my parents had diabetes, so I'm going to have diabetes. No, if you start changing the way you eat, I can guarantee you, hopefully in the future, you won't have it, because you are putting the right things inside your body that's going to help your body to function properly.
We like this cover through eat well, move well, and think well. So those are three things, right?
They're actually more, they sleep well, drink well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. All right, that's great, Mary. So what I'll do is I'll put your contact information on the video and underneath things. So initially it's probably best a phone call or an email to get connected with you to get this.
Both. They can text me. They can, texting is better, because sometimes they may call me and I'm with a client, then I won't be able to take the call. So if you text me and just introduce yourself and say, I got your contact information through Dr. Marco's office and I'm looking to sort of schedule a time. I normally would send a calendar link to the person. You can book your time in my calendar. And then once I have that information, if it's a discovery call, then we'll have it on Zoom. I like to sort of see my patients. And then after that, we can then, I normally walk the person through the process and I explain things, how it goes.
Okay, that's great, Mary. Great. I'm really excited about this, because I know there's a lot of my clients that I said, I'd like to spend more time, but I don't have the time to go through that. But now I know I can trust them with you, and that's a great thing. So I'm glad to introduce all my patient base to you.
Absolutely. And I think one thing I wanted to mention, I know a lot of patients come to me, and especially a little older patients, and they'll say like, is it too late to make the change?
Never.
Marlo says it's never too late, because as long as you make the change, you are better than yesterday. So I think nutrition is for everybody, whether it's a child, whether it's a young adult, whether it's a adult or a senior, correct? Because I work with a lot of seniors who have different kind of, health issues. And just by implementing the change, they start to see the difference in how they feel. Because at every stage in our life, we want to be healthy. So we want a lot of healthy people who can enjoy the quality of life and be able to do the things that they love.
You got it. Perfect. All right, Mary, thanks so much. And hopefully
Thank you very much, Dr. Marco, for giving me this opportunity.